order of the Town of Trumbull Water Pollution Control Authority, May 28th, 2025 meeting. And I ask the clerk to please take a roll call.
Frank Regnieri,
Here.
John Green,
Here.
Bruce Elstein,
Here.
John Brake.
Here.
The meeting minutes from the last meeting have been distributed. I call for a motion to approve and also a second.
So moved.
Second.
Second, have a vote. Margaret, the meeting passed. To start off with new business, we're going to go into executive session. You should all have that email to discuss a proposed change order with the involving the Old Town Road force main. So if we can get a
I just want to
vote.
interject real quick. This is for a contract issue concerning one of our town contractors. Okay, sure.
And I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Vote. Okay, so I guess we sign off and go into the other meeting.
Right.
I have Christine in the audience. I don't know if you want Wright Pierce in this negotiation.
Were
think
they
that'd be
involved
helpful.
with the project?
Yes.
Yeah, it's their documents.
Yeah, so they can attend that, or she can attend, I should say.
Paul, can you bring her into the audience?
Right now?
Well, when we get to the other side, right? So,
I will send her a link.
Send
then.
her a link.
all right. See you on the other side, guys.
All right.
See it.
Mr. Bright, you can leave this meeting and then join with the other link. There you go.
It's 7:00. We have left executive session and we're now back in public session. There is
I'm looking if I never forgot for many years.
been a request by the town engineer, Mr. Mauer, to approve a $230,000
Margaret, could you-
change
Well,
order.
what is that? That's
Margaret, can you mute?
The point is if I can help at all.
Thank you.
there we go. Okay. Much better.
There's a,
We're not missing, is Jim missing?
well, hold on.
Do you? I lost my.
Bill?
Yeah.
You just capture the motions and votes and
Yep, I will.
all right, I'm gonna exit. I will see you
All
all.
right. Thank you.
Margaret. Mr. Nugent,
Do you guys want me to invite Christine to be a panelist so she can speak?
Yeah, you can put her in, please.
hey, the Mr. Mauer has requested a approval of a change order to the Burns construction contract on the Old Town Road Force Main project paving change order for 230 after discussion executive session. I would like to call a motion to authorize Mr. Mauer to negotiate a fair settlement not to exceed $220,000.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Have a vote? Motion passed unanimously.
Bill, you
Now
taking
we're going to
notes?
go on.
Oh, hold on one second. Hold on. Just note that we left executive session at 7 o'clock, right?
Yes.
We did that already.
Oh, okay.
Old business, fiscal year operating budget. We talked about this last week, but it's gone through last month, but it's gone through another maturation. And Bill, can you just speak to that quickly?
So the WPCA budget was approved unanimous as presented to town council, which
Okay.
wasn't changed from what we discussed last month.
And the next item of old business is the Hawley Lane Pump Station. Bill, can you update us on the
Yep,
status
I
of that?
have a proposal from Titan Bond to do the design work for 36,000. I haven't asked anybody else only because you know, we already got Arcadis doing one and I don't want them to do another one.
I'm sorry, what was the price, Bill?
36.
Oh, okay. Well, at that dollar amount, I think you're okay with one.
Okay.
When we did an inspection about several weeks ago, Bill took me around to look at all the pump stations. While we were at Hawley Lane, we bumped into someone who gave information as to who we should be speaking to. I don't know if that went any further.
No, because he's just a worker bee.
Okay.
Bill, out of curiosity, that 36, how does that compare to like maybe the pump station over by the transfer station?
We didn't even have we didn't do a design. We just winged that one.
We winged that one.
We winged it because of the fact that we knew what was broken and had to get fixed.
Okay, so it wasn't okay. I just was looking, because that's the smallest station I could think of that to compare it to.
I mean,
There's
if
one,
you
there's
look at
one
our
over
other
by the
stations.
lake. How much is the one over by the lake?
So the other three that we did was what, 400,000. So if you divide them by 3, it's 120,000. It's a smaller station, but still has to go through some of the same iterations.
All right, so you would consider that a reasonable number?
Yeah, I'd consider it reasonable.
Okay.
If if no one else has any questions, I'd like to call for a motion to approve
Hey,
the
Frank.
proposal amount for Bill to
Oh,
award the
I'm
contract.
sorry. Go ahead.
So moved.
Have a second?
Sure. I'll do it.
You have a vote? Bill, the motion
Unanimous.
passed.
Okay,
I mean, at the end of the day, we're not paying for that anyway, right? So
right, but we need to,
we need to upfront the money, but
yeah,
that's going to be part of the total project cost that,
Yep.
uh, and even though they've shown no interest in getting involved, I also want to be reasonable with they're still a taxpayer of the town of Trumbull. So,
that's
but if
correct.
that's a reasonable number, that's a reasonable number.
So Bill and I talked, because Bill let us know that there was another break on the force main coming out of the Whitney Avenue pump station. And that, Bill, any update on that? I mean, how far off are we from getting a final design to
Well, we got a
replace
ways to
that
go,
entire
maybe.
line?
So we have preliminary stuff that has to go through for the trail, then we have to go to DEP for the rights to go through the trail, and then we have to have a whole construction thing.
So
So when
We're
we
at
do
lea-
that pump station, we're going to do the line all the way up to Main Street. I mean, what is the plan?
So currently the pipe goes up Whitney and then across Long Hill Green,
Right.
and down Main Street all the way to the gas station at the corner of John. The thought was, let's stay away from doing work on Whitney and Main Street and take it up the trail and then through an easement that we already have through the woods and up to John Street, and then come in with less impact on traffic and properties. And Christine, you're doing the preliminary stuff on that?
Yeah, we're just starting to get into that part of it. Remember that this is something we at first started looking at putting an air release valve in one location, then there was another break. We had that Pika ball go through
Yeah.
the force main. We found some one long area of a potential air pocket and other areas. So where the history of the breaks has been is not the only place that there's concern. There was then a subsequent break in this the air pocket around the corner. So hence, we started talking about a couple different things, including lining, keeping one of them, lining it. So right now the evaluation is focusing on a new force main that could be constructed independent of the two existing ones in the area that Bill mentioned.
So it would follow the trail down behind St. Joseph's and
Yep.
and then I'm just bringing up John Street. I had to place it, so I was. It's right before the Board of Ed building, a little bit. Well, I
Yes,
guess a
that's
block.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll go down the trail and then cut through the woods and then come down John Street to Main Street.
Yep.
Yeah, do you have to pump it up the hill?
We're pumping it up a hill now.
Right.
Popping it
No,
up
no,
Whitney.
from inside in the valley in the trail?
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually probably a less of a lift.
Okay.
Yeah, I
less
think it
of a
is.
dramatic lift.
Right.
Now, if you've driven up Whitney Avenue, that's a steep drive.
Right.
Where going up through the trail, we would not be as steep in sections, maybe. I don't know. We have to look at that.
In terms of how much trees would we have to knock down? So I could see a lot of people getting upset about seeing part of a pristine wilderness getting dug up.
Oh, there's going to be complaints about,
No matter what you do, there's going to be complaints. So
Right.
there's going to be a lot of complaints about going through there. So yeah, got to be very well thought out to present it.
But the alternative is to go up Whitney maybe go off that side street, Bill, but then you're still going down Main Street, which is a state road for quite some time.
Yep.
So that's what we're trying to avoid, John, is going down Main Street.
I understood. I just
Yeah.
knowing how, there's always a lot of people very concerned about touching the valley for anything that,
Yep.
Oh, you're right, John. There's going to be major complaints. I could just tell you we want to build the senior center at the Grace Church site. I think they want to cut down about 8 trees, and you'd think we were leveling, a major forest.
Yep.
So there's going to be a hue and cry about this. So, I mean,
if it
would you,
rains in between,
go ahead,
and
John.
things start coming, it starts raining or something, it starts pouring down onto the trail, debris and everything, that'll be the end of the world.
Look, I run down there every weekend, so I'm going to be disrupted in my routine down here. But
You could go the other way, Jim.
yeah,
It's still Monroe's actually finishing the trail from the end up until Booth. They're going up another couple miles. So
you north,
north, yes.
yeah. Well, I'd be interested to see.
That's just preliminary routing.
Yes.
We haven't, Christine, you haven't even talked to the state yet. So,
Right.
I mean, they get their power from the word no. So, that may be a struggle. And then the alternative is to go back up Whitney Avenue.
Yep.
Expensive. There's also some suspect piping Bill mentioned to me going up Whitney Avenue. So he's gonna take a look at that and see if it needs to be repaired.
So we're talking about at the intersection of Dunellen and Whitney, Christine, where there was some air pockets that we couldn't. We don't know why there was an air pocket there since it's all uphill, but they must have changed direction of pipe.
Yeah, sometimes they build it differently than, well, a lot of times they build it differently than you see on the plan. So,
Right.
yeah.
Plus,
Okay, that's all
in that
work in
whole
progress.
area, didn't you say, Bill, the last time I remember you guys were up at Whitney and Main Street, you were dodging gas pipes and water pipes and you
Absolutely.
name it, they were there.
Yep.
So at least if you go down the valley, you're not dodging anything.
Yeah, you're dodging trees.
You're dodging well, and look, I understand. I don't want to tear down any trees either if we could avoid it, but
The advantage of going down the trail is that it doesn't have to be as deep as it's always that you'll find that right now the force main is at the same depth as the gravity line, which in spots is 10 plus feet deep. That, it doesn't have to be that deep.
And we'll look at alternative methods of construction too. So as part of that.
okay.
All right. Well, Bill, you'll get back to us with that if it's. I mean, that one section needs to be repaired, and you said that there's going to be some work on Whitney in the way of sidewalks going from Denella down to the pump station.
Yes. Yep.
So it may be an opportune time to fix that air pocket. Yep. And Bill was explaining to me there's 2 lines, one above the other. So we could hopefully avoid bypass pumping if he has to take a section out.
All right.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I've got one item I just want to mention to the committee or commission right now. It's something we've kind of talked about in a very general sense. I'm not 100% decided about this yet, but it is involve increasing the connection fee for apartment buildings. I know they pay per unit. We have a large number of proposed units coming in that are getting access to or their whole infrastructure. And I'm strongly considering recommending sort of a modified connection fee system whereby apartment buildings would pay a larger rate, connection rate, than single family and single office building would. So to be
Jim, I'm
discussed.
sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
So other than a form of social engineering, what would be the rationale?
Well, I don't know about the social engineering part, but
Oh, let's face it, the apartment buildings are somewhat considered an issue in this town. Some people hate them, some people are tolerating them, and some people, well, whatever. But it gets a lot of attention.
well, apartment buildings are extremely high users of the system. You're
And
dropping 250 units into a development versus one for a house, or versus one for an office building.
And the way I look at it, John, is that the individual homes in this town paid 80% of what has to be at least a $200 million, capital investment. So, that's right now we charge $2,500 a hookup. People, as you know, one of the last contracts to be done in town, we put it in abeyance because the average assessment would have been $40,000 a house.
Oh yeah, I'm not necessarily arguing against it. I just want to understand the rationale. I mean, I was in favor of raising the rates before. But actually, the reason you just mentioned, Frank, we've got an extensive infrastructure that's already been paid for by the property owners, the existing property owners, and that's now reaching an age where there's a lot of ongoing work that's required that we didn't have to do. Even when I started on this board, however many years ago that was, we weren't seeing this, the town engineer coming in every third month and saying, "Hey, we had another break, and here's what it cost us." So I understand. I just wanted to understand the rationale. It's an interesting argument because although on a per unit basis, I actually think they're relatively light users of the system. The problem is, as Jim mentioned, the density. So you get a point of access that's significant, even if the per unit basis it might not be that high because they're 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. So
and the other thing that goes with this is, hopefully by next month we'll have something to put forward to the board regarding going back and look at the original 1967 design and what was contemplated, and have we achieved that? What's left to be achieved, and how much capacity we have left in this system, and where are the choke points? Because right now we approve apartments and we hope we have capacity. We may have capacity in a force main or this or that, but we're not looking at the system impact. We still haven't built out much of the town, and originally 30% of the town wasn't even planned on being sewered. Well, that's since changed. It's all developed now. So, we should be considering that the technology exists today, that those should be brought online, and they should get a priority because they're existing homes, and are going to likely need sewerage in the future. So that's just some of the things we're going to look at. And we also always contemplated, serving part of Monroe. So, at an economic advantage to us, the town. So we just want to make sure we understand that, so that can be presented and everybody understands it. So
That's it.
that's it.
all right, thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Any questions? If not, I would like to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second,
Second,
vote. Motion passed. Thank you all. Sorry for the
Thanks.
little extended
care.
time.
Who-
Appreciate
who-
your,
Who motioned and who seconded?
I moved and John seconded.
Okay,
see y'all.
Yep,
All right.
thanks.
Good
Good
Bye.
night.
thanks.